so excited to be here today with one of my very, very close friends who I just adore and having this conversation. So what June is about for me, and one of the big things that I want to share from this perspective is empowering women who are small business owners. And that's kind of my heart anyway, empowering women, period. But I have a special little heart for small business women, because I've always been like a contractor or an entrepreneur or a business owner, and it's not easy. And I always like the background story of what gets people to that point where they want to turn from something that's considered traditional, because most of us have brought up that way, do something different, and what happened in their life to make that happen. So today I'm featuring Nicole Mazke of Mindful Meals by Nourishing Empowerment. She is a chef, which she'll tell you more about in a second, and a transformational coach. And she's doing so much good serving the world with great nutrition. So welcome, Nicole.
Hi, Alicia. Thank you so much for having me. I'm so excited.
I'm so excited. So let's just start back where you and I first met, because we were just talking right before this, and I said, you know what? I don't remember you before that time. So I'll give you guys a little bit of background from my perspective, and then I'll let Nicole tell you. I had a vegan meetup group in the Spring Woodlands area, and we met through, I don't even know the exact moment. I don't know if you came or if I met you at Grace's and I invited you. I don't even know how it all happened, but you were working at Grace's Health Food, so some local people would know that place. And that's where you got your start with the food. So you want to take it from there? Just kind of start from there?
Sure. Yeah. I think we found you because being a raw food person was so unusual that so it was me and my two teenage daughters at the time. And we were following all these raw food people online, but we really wanted to know somebody in person. So maybe you did tell me about it. I don't know. But whatever it was, I ended up at your house with my kids for one of the raw food meetups. And that was really exciting. So what happened for us, the way we got there was they were, I don't remember ages. I should have written it down for myself, but they were young teenagers. So maybe 13, 15. And I had one daughter with severe acne, like the kind that dermatologists want to give you all kinds of scary medication for. And she had some other issues. And then I had another daughter with chronic indigestion. Like every time she ate, she just felt awful. And between the three of us, we probably had a good 60 pounds of extra fat cells that we didn't need filled up anymore. So we were miserable. We were eating out all the time, going to buffets, and we were just desperate for change. And so I had started doing some research. We watched a video called Meet Your Meat, which I don't recommend unless you need something very powerful to change your mind about eating meat. Very traumatic. Both of them became vegetarian, vegan immediately. I took a little bit longer because I always said, because I'd been doing it for so long, it seemed so normal. And for them, they hadn't been around as long, so they were willing to try something new. But anyway, tangents. So I had also decided that I needed to follow my dream, my passion, I should say, and I had started looking for jobs, and that's how I found the job at Grace's. So I was literally going to do that as a part-time job. They offered me a Saturday shift when I first applied, and I was all excited because I just wanted to learn more. I wanted to know how to heal myself, and I knew it was possible because my mom had been into natural healing, and I knew a lot, but I didn't know enough at that moment in my life to help all three of us. So I started working there. Before I even walked through the door, somebody quit, and so they hired me full-time. And they had a kitchen at the store, and they started talking about wanting to hire somebody to come in and make food. And by that time, I had taken a raw food certification class, which was really fairly simple, but it was really informative. And so I said, well, I have this certification and we've been eating this way now for a couple of months. I'd love to, maybe it was more than a couple, but anyway, I was like, hey, I'd love to make food for people. That's my thing. So we set it up and I made food on Fridays and Saturdays, mostly lunch. I think it was 11 to 1. It was like 3 hours, 2 days a week. And I met tons of people who were raw curious and vegan curious. And I don't think I fed more than 2 vegans, maybe 3 the whole time that I was there. But I created, I don't know when to stop. Go ahead.
I was gonna say I was vegan.
Maybe there were 4.
So
Definitely not the majority of the clientele. So what was great was it was an open kitchen, and so people could sit at the bar and I would make the food right in front of them and we would talk. And so I created a lot of really, really neat relationships with people and I just loved it.
yeah. So what I remember, and in fact, recently I had Nicole cater an event because she has the best raw food tacos in the world. So a little bit of background. I'm not a raw foodist anymore, but when I was a raw foodist, a lot of things were really heavy and nuts and these tacos, it just seemed like everything started tasting like nuts, like, but these tacos didn't taste like, they still don't taste like nuts. I just had them recently. I'm not a raw vegan anymore. And I still had them and they were still amazing. I had 25 people in my house. They were amazing. So from a food perspective, this girl's got it going on. Like I look at her menu every week and I'm just, whoa, I need this food. This is just beautiful, creative food. So how long did you work there and how long were you making food?
I worked there for almost 5 years.
Okay.
And I think I did the food for 3, at least 3.
So here's the direction I want to go with this, Nicole. You and I've talked a lot about following our heart, following our dream, following our passion. We've talked a lot about that. And this was a time in your life where there was a big change and it had to do with you following your heart. So do you want to share a little bit more about what your life and trajectory took from there?
So I got it. I had always wanted to live in California, and being a raw vegan enthusiast at the time, I wasn't completely vegan, but I was probably 95%. But anyway, so the two of those things kind of came together. Like it felt like all the people that I admired either lived in California or were talking about it. And I had always wanted to live there. So we had gone to visit my brother who lives in San Diego. And I was like, okay, kids, you need to go to University of San Diego when you graduate from high school and we'll all move to California and it'll be great. So needless to say, my youngest daughter said, no, I don't want to leave all my friends. And so my older daughter and I were like, well, we don't want to go without you. So we'll figure something else out. And then the next thing I knew, my youngest graduated from high school and said, okay, as soon as I turn 18, I'm going to California. And she kind of left us, but it was okay. It was great for her, for sure. Like looking back, it was great for all of us. But California, that is, not the fact that she left.
Right. Got it.
But anyway, so she was out there for about a year and my life got to the point where I felt like I needed to make a decision. And so I decided to go out there. She'd already been there. My brother was there. And I literally packed my bags and got on a plane with my dog and moved to California without a job and only, couch surfing in my future. And I mean, I just thought that, hey, I'm going to be in California and I'm going to fit right in.
I remember thinking that was like the bravest thing in the world. It's so far from my paradigm of any kind of reality at the time of, just this is where I want to be. This is what I want to do. I'm going. I remember being like that when I was younger though, but then by the time you were doing this, I'm like tied down with kids and homes and, just stuff. And just to do something like that was out of my realm of possibilities in my head.
Well, to be fair, that was my dream when I was 18. I was going to take my dog and I wanted to get a truck and drive across the country and write the next great American novel. and stay in California. So it was a dream that had been delayed because that's not how life worked for me. And like I said, when my kids were both out of high school, that's when I went. So
wow, that's
plus,
amazing.
you know, having your back up against the wall, like I had gotten a divorce a couple years before that. And once the kids graduated from high school, I didn't have child support anymore. My car that I had died. I literally had no car. So things had kind of, you know, it was like, I mean, a change really did need to happen.
Something
So
had to happen.
yeah. So it felt like there was as much opportunity as there was here.
Right.
Honestly. Plus the beach.
Well, I know everybody doesn't need your whole life story, but the beach, yeah. But I think that's an important thing because it's about following your dreams, right? So you up and you, I mean, yeah, your back was against the wall, but you didn't have to go, but it was something that had always been in your heart and you did. But as normal with lives, they don't exactly go exactly the way we expect them to. You had been making raw food, you know, you'd been working in a health food store. Now you needed to do something. And so you got a job.
Yes, I did. And not where I expected, but it fit in a way. So I got a job at Sprouts Farmers Market, which we have those in Texas, but they're everywhere in California. And they're kind of like the HEB of California, actually. But they have a giant vitamin department. So I got a job in the vitamin department because that's what I knew. And kind of worked my way up through the company and ended up transferring back to Houston with that company. And I just recently left that company. So it was great, great opportunity, but corporate retail is not where my heart lies. So
let's talk about just that for a minute, because here you are, this free spirit who, you know, sells everything, goes to California, but then now you find yourself in such a, not at first, because I know that wasn't your thought. You weren't thinking, I'm going to go and I'm going to work for Sprouts and I'm going to work my way up through management. And this is like, I'm going to have a career in retail. I know that wasn't on your brain, but now you're immersed in this corporate world, right? And that kind of, it changed. You kind of started becoming a company man in some ways. Yeah, it's an old saying, you know, like, don't you think it happens to all of us? I think like we're like, this is what we're around, this is normal. And you're always busy and you're always good and you get things done. And so they're like, oh, hey, you know, you're doing that. This job just came open. So, you know, here, you want this? And you're like, I was doing that anyway. I might as well get paid for it, basically. So, but it's a cycle that you can get stuck in on your own. That's my whole point, right? So, because so many people would love to start their own businesses or move to California or wherever. And we don't, because we get stuck in a cycle, a paradigm that seems like the only choice we have. But you still made another change. So let's talk about that defining moment. Like, where was that line in the sand where you said, no, this isn't who I am. I'm not going to do this anymore.
There were several, let's put it that way.
It usually is.
I knew that I was not destined to stay there. And it's funny that you say that, because you're right. I did the work, I worked hard, I showed up, and I did the next job before I had it. Until I finally, when I was doing the store manager's job, but never got offered the job, then I was like, oh, okay. So maybe I've hit my ceiling here. And then you get it, you know, at that level, then it's who likes you. Mm-hmm. And, you know, the politics and all that got involved. So that started to show up, and then COVID, honestly. So that really kind of drove everything home. I mean, I think it did for everybody.
I was going to say, COVID was a line in the sand for a lot of people. So what did that look like for you?
So ironically, right before everything locked down, I had been looking at brick and mortar locations because I wanted to go into business with my daughters and create the thing that we had talked about doing way back when. And so I knew the time had come, and literally one of the places was down the street from Sprouts. And I thought, wouldn't this be fun? Because then all my customers from Sprouts can come and eat my food. But yeah, then lockdown happened. And so literally like I felt locked down. Like it's hard to explain to non-essential workers what it feels like to have that. I mean, just to have that label, like hearing people call you an essential worker, like it was a lot of pressure. And I'm not really a quitter. So I was like, well, I can't quit now because everyone needs me. I'm essential.
Oh.
Especially the employees. Like it was really scary for all of us, and we were kind of all in it together. And so I kind of hung in there to see how that was all going to work out. Because I don't know if we all went through that. Oh, it'll just be 2 weeks or 6 weeks or a couple of months. And then it went on and on and on and on and on. And just the change, like every day we had to go in and get briefed on what the rules were today and how to treat everything. And it was very, 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 very stressful. And so probably the bottom line was when I had a guy get upset with me for asking him to please wear a mask, because it was during that time when everyone was required to wear them. And if you had an issue, we had curbside pickup or delivery with Instacart. And so, there was really no reason for anybody to be in the store without a mask. I know there's all kinds of exceptions, but anyway, all that to say, I was doing my job, which I did not like, by asking him to put on a mask. And the policy at the time was tell them you're going to call the police.
Oh, geez.
Yeah.
Oh, geez. Well, your job description changed big time with that. Then I just want to say hi to Cindy. She's saying hi to us. Thanks for giving us some love. And she says you are essential. I agree.
So when his temper flared and the very large front end manager had to come and step between him and me because he was screaming in my face with no mask on, I was like, I think I've had enough.
Yeah.
So that was my line in the sand. And the wheels had been turning in the background about how to do something without a brick and mortar. And at that point I was like, you know what? I just contacted all the people that had said, hey, if you make your food again, let me know. And I said, I would love to make food for you. Are you still interested? And everybody said yes. So I did walk away with a little assurance that, I wouldn't be completely destitute if I walked away. I still had friends and they would still support me and I could do what I really loved. So.
Well, in some ways, I remember talking about this and I remember thinking, like, to me, starting a brick and mortar is way scarier than just going home to make food for people, right? Because there's so much involved in that. And, having been involved in many different types of businesses over the years, that to me was just much scarier. But so I was like, oh yeah, this felt much safer to me, but I know it was kind of like it was sort of a disappointment to you because that's what you really wanted. So, talk about path of dreams. So here's your dream path, not quite going the way you had in mind again. How did you turn that around for you? Start making food.
Yeah, well, and so I didn't just want to make food at the brick and mortar because
right.
that kind of my little mantra was, I don't want to be in the kitchen for the rest of my life making food. Like I love to make food, but what I really loved, I wanted to have my own business all my life, and they changed depending on what my interests were, but they always involved bringing people together and doing something fun that everybody could participate in. And so like my daughter has her own business. She does painting parties. So we wanted really a location where we could offer like pretty much everybody. And my other daughter does astro herbalism and she's very much into nutrition. And we just wanted to talk to people about our journey and all the things that we learned and just share that with people and offer events, because we were already on that wavelength that there wasn't enough true connection, available there. You couldn't, if you go watch a movie, you sit in a dark room and you stare at a screen, like you're not interacting with other people. And so we were really looking to have a space that was safe for people to gather and spend time together.
I love that. Okay, but so now so tell us about the transition. So you started making raw food again, right? But things have changed. So take us from raw food to where you are today.
Okay, so I started making raw food for my raw food fans, and then that was in September, very beginning of September. And so it started to get cooler, and I said, hey, would y'all mind if I make some cooked food? And they said no. And so I started adding some soups and just some little things here and there. And I started selling more of the cooked food than the raw food, ironically. And I started I did it kind of for me, like always kind of did it for me and my family first. I was trying to get healthy again because I'd been in retail and been busy, and I would eat a bag of chips for lunch on a regular basis. So I was really looking to show myself that it was possible so that I could share that with other people. Anyway, so more and more cooked vegan. And then it really wasn't enough, right? Like I had some savings when I let it go, and I thought, I had a plan, and by a certain time, if I hadn't made a certain amount of money, then I was going to have to do something else. And so in that time, I took a coaching certification class, and that changed my whole life and perspective again. So that helped transform the rest of me, right? Like, so I don't even know what to say. Let me just read so on my website, it says, for you to successfully reclaim your vibrance, you have to be open to taking a closer look at both what you're eating and what's eating you. So that was the other piece that the coaching certification added to it, was that, yeah, you can change the way you eat for a little while, but if you don't look at why you eat a certain way or why you reach for that particular thing at a certain time, then it's really never going to go away. You're only strong arming yourself, and it never works, right?
It doesn't. It'll never work for the long haul. And I think that's the biggest reason that people fail. It's not anything but that, because if you have a big enough why, you're going to win. But people don't know why they make the decisions they do. So
Right.
My nutrition coaching business was always the Trojan horse. It was the reason for me to get people in front of me, because they thought they were there for losing weight, but they're actually there to transform their thinking and their mind. Right.
Yeah.
And that is huge. I'm glad you brought that up, because that is the most essential piece, is that you've got to change the way you think and address the things that you haven't addressed. Right. And so in this process, not only did you take a certification, you did a lot of personal development, coaching. You even got a vegan business for a vegan business coach, and all kinds of, you were up leveling. I think this is an important piece, because how many people go out and do things, and then don't do the inside work? It doesn't matter if it's weight loss or starting a business, you've got to do the inside work, and it doesn't stop. So share a little bit about that part of the journey.
Yeah.
Unless you just got a sugar daddy who's just taking care of you, and it doesn't matter what you do. But if what you're doing has to pay the bills, or from a business perspective, if you really want to change the trajectory of your life, which I know is who you are, you're never going to be somebody who's going to settle into retail and just be there for the rest of your life and be happy with it. I even love that you called part of what you and I've been working on together retail recovery, right? Because it is so stifling to the human spirit, and that is not who you are. So you began by starting the process of freeing your own spirit, so you could help other people free theirs as well.
Yes, that was beautiful. Now I have no idea what I was going to say.
It's just about the coaching and the leveling up and the personal growth and the things for you to be able to help other people. You had to continue to dig in and get the help.
Yes, help. That's what I was going to talk about, is that I didn't know anything about coaching until, it was a long, convoluted story that I won't ramble on and on about, but one thing led to another, and I found out about this coaching program, and I took it because of the person, the iconic figure, let's say. I won't name any names, but
you probably know him.
and I was so impressed. I had this feeling in my very first Facebook Live video, I talked about it. Like I was sitting in a room listening to somebody, it was Brendan Burchard that I was listening to when I had this realization. And I was sitting there listening to Brendan Burchard talk, and I was in I call it the library because that's where my bookcases are. And I looked at those books and I listened to what he was saying, and I thought, now mind you, these are books, some of them I've read, but most of them I haven't. I just wanted to. And I looked at them and I thought, who would I be today if I had read all those books that I wanted to read? Like, it just, like, I get goosebumps even.
What a great question.
Right? So that's, like, I know I've done things and I know I've made changes, but I also, like, also chasing that, like, but there's more, right? So when I heard these influencer, like, big coaches, really, I won't call them influencers at all. They're like huge coaches to people who are doing all the things out there that you would think are amazing. And I thought, okay, so if all these people out there who are amazing, or who I think are amazing, have coaches, there must be something to that. Right? And so one of those people always says, right, he calls it a time machine. Yep. Because if you have someone who's already been through what you've been through and they can help you get through it faster, like, how much is that worth, right? And my coach even says, my vegan business coach was like, you know, how much will it cost you if you're still in the same place you are right now next year, right? So it's weird. It's like you go for a massage and you feel better. But if you have a coaching session, you are better, like you can do better and you can get farther ahead, right? And it's not even about money because, I mean, as we discussed before we get on here, I did still have to go out and get a part-time job because I still hadn't met my goal, but I'm not giving up because now I know that I need a bigger time machine or I just need to keep working at it. That's because right. It's not, and that's the thing, like, it's so much easier, like you said, it's easier to stay where it's safe and it's comfortable and you know that paycheck's coming on Friday. Like, why would you want to walk away from that? But for me, it was the call in my heart was so loud that I couldn't not listen to it. Like, it hurts me more to not listen to it. And I will tell you that one of my prayers when I was working in my job was, dear God, please just let me be happy for what I have, which is the right, I mean, you should be grateful right. You have, but this was, please let me stop thinking about how things could be more amazing because it's never going to be like that's what I was asking for. It was like, wow. please
let me settle. Take this dream away. Let me just settle. Let me be normal like other people and be satisfied with this. I love that. What a great story. Fantastic. Wow. But you couldn't. So I don't want to keep dragging this on, but it's an amazing story. So the reason I like talking about the up-leveling and coaching, being a coach myself, being in pretty much almost my whole life, I've been some form of coach or teacher or, you know, fitness instructor, you know, but from that perspective, I think it's Jim Rohn who says, for things to change, you have to change. For things to get better, you have to become better. You know, like we have to do us first. But the thing is, if you're not making it, guys, it's not because you can't, or there's something fundamentally wrong with you or blah, 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 nothing like that. It's because you still need to become the person who can have that on the inside. That sucks to say. And I'll even saying it to myself right the second, it sucks because I'm not where I want to be, you know, and I haven't been where I've been working on being where I want to be longer than I wanted to work on being where I want to be. Right. So it sucks to say that, but if you're not looking in the mirror and saying, who do I need to become to have the dream that I want? And if you've got an aching in your soul, God put it there. You need to go after it. You don't press it down. Don't just ignore it. It's not going to go away. Or if it does, you know what the worst thing to me would be is, lying there on my deathbed saying, God, why if I just been a little braver, a little bolder, tried a little harder? I don't want to die like that, really. I mean, that really haunts me. That's one of the things I think about. Not to mention in the cases of what we're doing as coaches and, helping people up level their lives, the gift, if that's your calling, and the gift you get from being able to do that is something that you're not going to be able to get. You're not going to get that fulfillment anywhere else. So let's wrap it up talking about Nourishing Empowerment. I love everything. You even changed the name. You rebranded like this whole thing. She's been so committed to it, and she's learned so much. And I've just been so impressed to be around her. One of the favorite things that I get to do is be around women who are working on it. Like they're up leveling, and so we're constantly like iron sharpens iron, right? We're always helping each other become better in the most loving environment possible, where we see each other, we appreciate where the journey is that we're on for each other, and we're just there to support each other. But people are up leveling. Like that. The other scary thing for me is to live in a world where people don't constantly work on themselves and up level. Honestly, like that, that's a scary world for me. So I like being around people like you who are always up leveling your game. So you've done this whole thing, you've done this rebranding. Tell us about your business, that part of your business now, and then let's get to where people can find you, because people need what you're doing. So share about Nourishing Empowerment.
Okay, so Nourishing Empowerment is, I cried when I did an exercise that made me come up with 2 words that basically expressed the dream. And so I was noodling it out, and I had all these different things, and nourishing was here and empowerment was there. And finally I put them together and I said Nourishing Empowerment out loud, and I burst into tears, and I was like, oh my gosh, this is it. So Nourishing Empowerment is my heart. I feel like that is the way, because I was like, I don't want to just feed people, right? It's like the old saying, if you want to feed a woman, let's say, if you want to feed a woman, you don't just give them a fish, you teach them how to fish. And so that idea that I just want to pass it on. And I always used to say that I'm the laziest person I know. So for all the people who think it's too hard, you're wrong. I can tell you right now, you're wrong. It can
Lazy
be.
people are the most efficient people, though, because
That's
I think
right.
that's who I am.
That's right. That's
We're gonna
right.
figure out how to get it done the easiest way.
Yeah, that's right. I need to change that to,
Yeah.
but efficient sounds so efficient and difficult, but it's really laziness in disguise. So yeah. So I wanted to marry the food. I'm already doing the food, but I up leveled food, let's say, to like, so I'm doing the meal prep focus, where for people who are too busy to make their own healthy food, or they find themselves eating out all the time because it's an easy go-to, or like people like me, really, I'm doing it for people like me. Like I work 50 or more hours a week, and I happen to work in a grocery store. So if I got hungry, I went and ate a bag of potato chips, and not the little bag of potato chips.
No.
The big bag of potato
That
chips.
can't fill you up.
Because it's cheaper to buy the big bag, and then when you have the big bag in front of you, you're going to eat them all. I mean, it was crazy. So I've been there. I've eaten every way. Like I grew up eating hot dogs with ketchup on, like just a hot dog pouring ketchup on it. Like
Was it cold out of the fridge?
it was
It's
cold
cold out of the fridge. Yes. Okay.
Yeah. So, and I mean, I went 95, 98% vegan, raw foodist, all the way back to meat and potatoes, and now back. Now I'm 100% vegan, actually, and I love it. And I can see why it didn't work for me before, and I'm happy that it's working now. And it really just, I don't want anybody to eat a certain way. I just want people to know that if they want to eat better, they can, right?
And that is what your meal's about, because I don't want people to think that if they're not vegan, they can't take a part in your service, because that isn't true.
Right.
Let's just talk about a couple little facts here. I put this out, I think this morning, actually. My heart, a lot of it comes around helping people with depression and other, mental health issues, but along with that comes autoimmune issues and, energy issues and all kinds of things that everybody's suffering with. But the statistic I put out there today, that the number one best food for your mental health is fruits and vegetables. So that's what it's about. And people, drop down below. Tell me, everybody. Hey, Charity, welcome. Cindy, Charity, and whoever else is out there, drop down below. How many fruits and vegetables do you think you're supposed to eat in a day? Because I know that I remembered, what was it when we were kids? You remember the 4 food groups? When I was a kid, it was 4 food groups. Then it went to like the 3 to 5 servings. It's like, well, is it 3 of fruit or is it 2 of fruit? Like, is it 3 of vegetable? Like, I don't know. It's supposed to be 5, right? People are still stuck back there in 5. If you think it's 5, drop 5 below, because it's not. I actually say it's 11 to 13, but it's 7 to 10. I think the average is 10. Who out there is getting 10 servings of fruits and vegetables? So this isn't about you becoming vegan. This is about nourishing your body to feel and optimize at the very best level. And this is where it's going to really come from in a huge way, is the fruits and veggies. So even if you're not vegan, you can add her meals to your routine and up level your game. Because imagine if she just did all the vegetables for you and you didn't have to do anything else, right? And it's not just like it's vegetables and sides. They're beautiful meals, guys. So don't think you can't take part in this if you're not vegan. I think it's beautiful.
Yeah.
So let's talk about where people can find you, because here's what I think you guys all should do. You need to go follow Nicole on Facebook and Instagram. You need to go look at her website, but most importantly, you need to DM her so you can get on her list, because every week she's bringing out a new menu and she's sharing the beautiful foods. And you do like I did, you're looking, you're like, I need these foods. And I know people besides me that have eaten her foods. They're just beautiful foods. You've got to give them a try. So that's what I think you should do. But you want to tell everybody, like, where, besides that, like, where can they find you? What's your website and all that good stuff?
Everything's Nourishing Empowerment. So it's the website, nourishingempowerment.com. Facebook is facebook.com/nourishing empowerment. And then Instagram is @nourishing empowerment. So I would love to see you out there. There's contact information for, yes, DM me.
DM her, like she'll get it. Go to somewhere. Go. And I recommend you follow her as a friend as well. And I don't think she'll stop you from being her friend. But yeah, just DM her. We're all about having more friends. Yeah, Nicole Mazke. I'll make sure she's tagged in this video on both on YouTube and on Facebook, so you guys can find her for sure. And on Facebook, on YouTube, I'll definitely have all your links below. But that's my recommendation. DM her and get on her list. She sends out beautiful newsletters via text or and emails. Do you still do email, or is it all in text now?
The emails are more infrequent now, but the menu is every week.
Okay, cool. So it's just amazing. You won't regret it at all. Anything else? So here, drop like one. If you're a woman, there's a woman out there and she's thinking, God, I can never, get up, move to California, then quit my job because, it's just not working for me anymore. Follow my dream. Like, if there's somebody out there who's listening to this and has those feelings, but they want it, what would one thing be that you would say to that woman?
Wow. I would say, write it down. And if you have to, like, if you really feel like you can't do anything about it right now, write it down, fold it up, put it in a book somewhere, and you'll find it. Because every time I made one of those changes, I would find the little piece of paper later and be like, oh my God, I did it.
I love that.
So.
All right. Awesome. Well, thank you so much for being my.
Thank you.
I'm sorry. Did I interrupt you? Did you finish?
Oh, I just said, say what you want, even if it just has to be in the back of your mind.
And something very powerful about writing it down, even if it's once, write it down, put it away. It gets into your subconscious mind. If you do it more often, it gets into your subconscious mind more quickly. So, but write it as if it's already happened, the way you want it to be. Write the beautiful story of if my life could be anything I wanted it to be, this is what it would be. Great advice. I wouldn't have thought of that. What's that?
And then do one thing that's like that, right? Like, if you want to, for me, like, if I wanted to go to the beach, but I couldn't get to the beach, I would put my bathing suit on and jump in the shower. Like, just create that feeling.
There you go. That feeling. Great advice, Nicole. Great advice. You know, you might want to reach out to her as a coach as well, because she's got some great wisdom there. All right, guys, if you're here on YouTube, please go right now and subscribe and hit that notification bell. I don't want you to miss any of these amazing, empowering conversations and chats. Please comment and share. Even if you're here on Facebook, share this. Share this with some people who need some great nutrition in their life. And thank you all. And thank you, Nicole, for being here today.
Thank you, Alicia. You're awesome.
I love this. It's a great conversation.